Hi, everyone. We want to thank Eve Legal AI. This is a native AI platform that we use in our practice every day. It really has given me time to actually be a lawyer, to strategize, to talk to our clients, to lead our team. Check out Eve Legal AI.
Hi, Lisa here with Dawn, and today our topic is law and motherhood.
Yes.
All right. My first question for you, Dawn, is how did you go about, or was it a surprise?
Like planning?
Yes.
It was not planned. I had my son my third year of law school, so I don't think that was exactly the plan. I think we wanted to start after passing the bar and all of that stuff, but it actually turned out to be a perfect time to have my son. I got to spend all kinds of time with him at the very beginning because you have a lot more time in law school than you do when you're a first-year lawyer. Mm-hmm. So I think just trying to balance being a mom and also being a first-year associate was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. It was incredibly challenging. I think that if you're going to be a mom and a lawyer, you've got to have a lot of support around you. How about you?
Well, it's interesting because I'm the exact opposite of mine was fully planned. When I turned 28, I was like, I will start trying when I'm 30.
Okay.
And so I needed that 2 years to wrap my mind around like my life being turned upside down. And I say it that way because somebody along the way said that once you have a baby, your life will never be the same.
Yeah.
And it's going to be unbelievably good, or, hopefully not unbelievably bad. So for me, that resonated and stuck with me. So, when I was 30, I started trying and got pregnant right away.
Yeah.
And I was working as a legal assistant at the time in a law firm. And it was just something that I had incorporated into my career. Had the opportunity to spend the time, the typical time that you're out. So I didn't get probably as much time as you did, mm-hmm. spending all that, but it was a choice, and it worked itself out like, how it should be. It's funny, you start paying for daycare and you're like, oh my gosh, I could have been driving a much better car. I don't even know where this money's coming from.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But, you have to start adapting to, taking care of the child, getting out of the office if there's an issue. I just think women are really, really good at multitasking. Mm-hmm. Like, we can shift gears so quickly as it relates to taking care of the kids and then focusing on work. And we can do that, elevator doors open and you can just shift gears and make things happen.
Right? Just on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I struggled a lot at the very beginning. I mean, just trying to be the best lawyer and the best mom all at the same time. Mm-hmm. Those two things really don't coincide. They don't. There has to be some sort of give somewhere, because if you're wanting to be successful, you have to put in a lot of time, especially when you're a young lawyer. You have to put in the time. And when you have a young baby, you have to put in the time. So trying to make that work and figure out daycare and all of that stuff was so challenging. And I think if you don't have family around, which Chris and I did not have family around, we had to find friends, we had to find people that we trusted that were around us. I got fired by our first daycare.
Oh. For being too late? Were you that mom?
No, it wasn't late. Colton just kept on getting sick, so I just showed up one day and the playpen was packed up and outside of her front door, and I was on my way to work, and Chris was driving 40 miles to get to his office, and I was driving forever, and just trying to figure out how to make it work. It's hard. It's hard, and I think when you're planning your career and actually selecting the firm that you work for, especially as a woman, you really need to talk to them about, how do you how do you handle these situations? Are they going to be supportive when you need to leave to go do whatever comes up that you have to do? I think that there's still a bias and a prejudice towards women, and knowing that they're going to be out for a couple of months or even more. I mean, I felt so guilty just being out. I think I took 3 weeks off when I had my daughter.
Oh, that's nothing.
And I felt guilty being out, and I was still kind of working. I mean, I have a lot of regrets because I missed certain things that I didn't have to miss. I could have gone to, I could have rescheduled a deposition to go to, kindergarten graduation or to go to a play. But I just thought that as a woman and as a trial lawyer, I could never say that I was putting my family or my kids first. And I really look back and think I could have done that more. I really could have done that more. So if I was giving advice to my younger self, I would have said, take the deposition a different day, reset it. There's certain things that you can't move, and that's fine, but move the things you can, because it's important. It's important to be there. But, they're going to be okay. They're resilient. They are not going to remember everything, as long as you have a good support network around them and they feel loved and you're there, wholly and fully there when you are. I think that that's really what makes a big difference.
So the first 2 years of Mallory's life, I was in a law firm environment as a paralegal. So not as stressful as you had it going on.
I don't know. I think that's pretty stressful.
Well, in that scenario, like, I'm not trying to cover depositions. I'm providing the notebook or the information, because that was in the day of notebooks.
Yeah. We did notebooks.
Everything was paper back then. So it was just organizing, pulling it together, meeting the deadlines, but not the stress that you're talking about. But once I went, so it was about 2 years, Mallory was about 2 years old when I went to the court reporting firm. I hadn't earned my partnership yet. I had just made the change to the legal services industry as opposed to being a paralegal. Now I was a vendor. I owned a court reporting firm, or worked towards that. So the first year, because of the client base and the relationships that I had, it blew up really quickly. And that's when the decisions had to be made, feeling the pressure, and everything wasn't digital, and there wasn't the ability to communicate. Yeah, so I had to drive from the 35, 40 minutes to get to the office if I'd gotten a call that somebody needed something. And that's where the sense of responsibility kicks in, and then you have a child, and then you have this business that you feel responsible for. And in our lives, between my husband and me, he had started a business at the same time I did, and we just decided at that point, a couple years in, I think it was like 2 years after into the court reporting firm, after I'd earned my partnership, that one of us needed to stay home. And this business was growing quicker than his was. So he sold his share, and then he became Mr. Mom, building houses, working as a builder. But he was there to go grab Mallory and then Brent. There's 4 years between our children. But I did miss, like with the travel, you miss things. But having that other parent there, so that was the sacrifice that we made, that worked for our family. I would say Brent was a surprise. Mallory was planned. So when you have a surprise and you're a planner, that just throws a huge wrench into things. But it worked itself out. So I would just say, when you're reviewing, your, just like Dawn said, the firm that you work at, the company that you work with, the people that you work with within a law firm. Because like we all know, if you're in a really big firm, if you're working with a group that you don't care for, it doesn't matter how great the benefits are for the firm.
Right. Yeah.
It's who you work side by side with. So like that's really, really important. But I don't feel like you need to sacrifice having children. You just have to make those decisions the best that you can, and go from there.
Right. And I think nowadays, I think we really have kind of changed the mindset about having kids. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going through having their careers, making a choice not to have kids. And I think that there's some sort of I don't know, tension between women that have kids and women that don't have kids sometimes. Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple different things. First of all, I think initially it was tension between the stay-at-home moms and the working moms. The ones who put their children in daycare and the ones who don't. My take on that was just like, do what works for you. I could not have been a stay-at-home mom. I was a better mom because I worked. That was just what I felt like served our family best. And then now, I think that's still going on to some respect, but also like the no children versus having children.
Yeah.
I think so too. And I feel like we just all need to be on the same page.
What about relationship, like with you and Steve? How did that work when both of you guys were working? I know Steve's a very strong-minded person, very much of a, provider, very strong. How was it when you guys made that adjustment to where he wasn't working and you were working?
Yeah, and at some point we should probably have the husbands on, because just to be able to weigh in with our careers and our entrepreneurial paths that we've both taken, it really does put a lot on the spouse. And I think sometimes, we're front and center, but they're really the backbone of everything that's going on. And he truly was the backbone of everything that was going on. I've always viewed us as a team, and he views us as a team as well. But to not be the breadwinner and to not be, in that role, it was an adjustment. And he'll be real honest and talk about, like, it was an adjustment. But it's the mindset of what's best for the family.
Right.
Steve and I love each other. We liked each other. We love each other. We're best friends. The kids are gone. We're still best friends today. I mean, that's an integral part of success, because we all know raising kids, it's hard. Man, it is hard. And, a marriage is hard too, right? There's a lot of compromise that has to go on. But, if you take care of yourself, you take care of your marriage, then you can take care of the children. And I truly believe that, that's the way that it falls into place.
Yeah. My husband was PTA president.
Oh my goodness, that was not mine. He would not have had anything to do with PTA. He is a man's man, so that's like so funny. What a blessing, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's so is my husband, and I was absolutely a little jealous. I mean, he was running around with all the moms. He was coaching soccer. He was coaching baseball, and it was hard. It was really hard, because I don't know if I had that in my head that's how it would be. That I would be working and he would be working.
Oh, I agree. Yes.
There was no planning for that in my mind, and I know that was a super hard transition for both of us. So I think you just have to, plans. Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth.
Sure.
So I feel like with a family, with a job, with things that come about and come around, you just have to have an open mind. You have to have an open mind about how are we going to solve this problem? What is best for all of us right now? This might not be, for the next 5 years, but this is for this year. Then we'll reevaluate. And if you're not willing to grow and adapt, and you're not in a place where you can grow and adapt, then you need to make adjustments for sure.
Yeah. For us, we just decided that we couldn't both be gone that amount of time and raise the kids the way that we wanted to raise the kids. Yeah. So that's how the decision came about. But there are a lot of parents that both work and they manage to raise the children. So it's truly a personal choice. You have a support system in place, whether it's daycare or family, and you just go from there. And the legal environment, I think it has come a long way. It probably depends on where you work again. I mean, but there are a lot more opportunities. It's just like, I can't remember who it was we interviewed, Dawn, but she had just had a baby and took that baby to the conference.
Oh, yes. No, that's Megan Whiteside.
Yes. Megan.
Yeah.
And so, the baby was just teeny tiny. She took the baby to the conference and gave it to somebody to hold. Not like gave, but you know what I'm saying. And then she went up there and spoke, and everybody after was so amazed and impressed.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody approached her to talk about.
Yeah.
The fact that she had brought her baby to the conference. You know?
I think that was kind of a life-changing moment for me.
Yes.
Because she's younger than me, and if I would have been in that situation, I would have never thought to do that. And she is so bold and such a powerful person. I'm so proud of her that she did that, and it has made such a big impact for so many other women. Because
Right.
it was just like, you know what? Why can't we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we do that? I mean, you don't want somebody crying in the back. You know, you got to have somebody that can walk them out if something happens. But the more we can make our children part of our lives so that they know what it's like coming through. I mean, my kids heard everything. I'm talking to defense lawyers. They're part of my legal team, so there was no waiver of any attorney-client privilege.
That's funny.
So, you know, but they've heard everything. I never shielded them. I never pretended like it was this way or that way. I mean, I really did subject them to all the good, all the hard things, all the crazy things. I mean, my daughter has talked about maybe wanting to be a lawyer. My son's like, hell no, I don't want to be a lawyer. So, I mean, they kind of lived it. And I think exposing them to that environment in a way just kind of makes them, I hope, more rounded, more open-minded, more able to talk to people, communicate with people better, I hope.
Well, I think it enriched them.
Maybe.
It, like, seasoned them one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? Gwen is thinking,
True.
That might be the path that she goes down.
Yeah.
And Colton is like, oh, hell to the no.
No.
Like, not doing it.
No.
You know, my daughter Mallory is like, absolutely not. Brent did it for a while with the legal videography. And now he's in the military. So, you know, law, military, that kind of goes hand in hand. A lot of discipline and structure there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think another thing that really, really changed the dynamics was COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, we were all doing Zooms and meetings, and your kids were right there. You couldn't hide it, and you didn't have to hide it. You know, you were able to just go forward with the meeting, and if you heard a kid in the background or a dog in the background, it allowed itself to be way more acceptable, right? And then
just what's happening. This
right.
is just this is what's happening in the moment. We don't have to pretend. You know, we're all doing the best we can.
Yes.
I think it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to think of just when we're going through changes.
Yes.
Just okay. Well, let's see what it is. Let's see what we can take from this. Let's see what we can learn from this. And just, you don't have to put on so much, I don't know. It's such a perfect profile.
Right.
You know, things can be messy sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah, and if you're on Zoom, you know, just make sure you're dressed from here up, you know, waist up. Super important.
And make sure your camera is high enough so that, you know, if you're not dressed on the bottom appropriately.
Right, all the things.
But what about the cat video? That was good. The lawyer, the cat.
Judge, I'm not a cat.
I'm really not a cat.
I'm really not a cat.
Did you see it?
I did.
Oh my God.
I mean, I could still just like laugh.
Yeah.
And then it's funny that you mentioned that, because one came up on my feed that somebody had just reposted. Do you remember the gentleman that was being interviewed by like CNN or somebody, a newscaster, and the one little toddler comes in and it's Walker?
Yes.
And then the other one comes in, and then his wife comes in and is like wrangling him out, and then she like zaps back in and shuts the door.
That is a good one.
I literally just saw that again, and I watched it 3 or 4 times in a row. It still just made me laugh. You know, that's what life was like. I would say we've resumed to, you know, maybe not that extent, but I feel like people are way more accepting, because what we've understand now is that even though you have children, you can still get the job done.
Yeah. You can.
You can still be productive. You can still manage a career and manage a family, and you can make it all happen.
It's hard. I'll say, though, owning a business and having, you know, employees that are taking time off to have their babies, that's a big commitment. I mean, that's a big commitment for the company.
Oh, it is.
Because, you know, it is a big loss. You bring somebody in, you train them, you get them ready and operating, and then they're out for, you know, 3 months. That's a big commitment for the company as well, for sure.
Yeah.
It's strange being on the other side.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. So kind of going through it and then having to leave and this and that and then being on the other end and trying to
fill that void.
Exactly.
Fill that void while they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely impacts.
Yeah, you got to plan for it. How do you think your kids are different based on kind of how you raise them? That you're a very powerful woman. You've owned 2 court reporter agencies. They've gone through the whole gamut of highs and lows through those companies. How do you think that that's impacted them?
It's so funny. Honestly, I would love for somebody to ask them that question and record it.
Yeah.
Because I think at different times it's like a total eye roll. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah.
And then in other instances, it has made them more well-rounded and fueled them, and a level of appreciation, which now, Mallory is getting ready to turn 28, and Brent just turned 24. So I think, you ask them that same question 10 years ago, it would have just, been an eye roll, right? Just because, that's just my mom. But today I think that they have much more appreciation for the, serving others, being observant of others around, and, being able to communicate, being able to function on the fly. I just think there's a lot of components that I don't even know about that have put them in a place where it contributes to their decision-making processes as an adult.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember, I think it was either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve that I had the kids up at the office. Chris and the kids and me were at the office, and we had to mail out a bunch of stuff to clients.
Oh, yeah.
And they were filling envelopes. And we were there for hours, and Colton was probably, 12, and Gwen was 7 or something like that. And we're all up there together filling envelopes. I have all these pictures in my office that my daughter and son drew because they were there while I was working. I would bring them with me, and they would be there for the day sometimes. And I have all these pictures that I love so much and that remind me of those times. I think if you're going to have children and have a career and be great at both, you have to have integration. You have to somehow blend those two things together. They can't be separate. You have to bring both pieces into each side of the relationship.
I agree 100%. And that's actually like a really good note to end on. It's not motherhood and law, it's motherhood plus law, or law plus motherhood.
Or in-law.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In-law. That's so funny. That's really good. All right. If you have any questions, comments, please comment below or email us at hello@ladiesinlaw.com.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.